In this video tutorial we are going to talk about REST API. We are going to talk also about 4 different request methods that we can use, and also we are going to create one simple REST API for ourselves. So stay with me. Hey, what's up source hackers? Sinead here from CodePassIncome.com, the place where I help others to become a web developer much easier and faster than they would do it on their own. So if that is something that interests you, make sure that you subscribe. So before we start with this tutorial, let's first explain when we are going to use REST API and what it is. So basically REST API is a way to create that our website easily communicate with other applications and other websites, so that, let's say, other developers can easily access our database. So with any API, we should create the 4 basics methods, which is create, read, update, and delete inside our database. And for that, we are going to use HTTP methods, which we say request methods, that are get, post, put, and delete. There are of course many other request HTTP methods, but we are going to focus only on those 4 that are the most important. Now, the next thing that I want also you to know that is most people, when they create tutorials or anything, they always create it in a way that they are using object-oriented approach in order to create REST API. And yes, that might be better if you are going to create some big API, but for those of you who are just starting out, I'm going in this tutorial just to use procedural programming and to really show you that in order to create API you don't need to use object-oriented approach. So let's start with this. So first off, here inside my browser I want to show you something, and basically what in our example we want to create is that, let's say that we have one simple database, and inside this database we have one table customers. So we want to give other developers an ability to easily add new customers, change their informations, delete those, etc. So how we are going to do? Well, first we want to make some URL like convention here. So we want to say that anytime when we get the request on, ignore this part, let's say that this is our domain, and I'm going to say when we get the API/customers/anything, that will depend what we are going to do. So when we do only this and make get request, that means that we are going to read all the customers that we have inside this database. Now if we provide here some ID, let's say 12, in that case we want to get only the data about the customers with ID 12. Now if we are going to send delete method, that means that we are going to delete the customer ID 12, etc, etc. So pretty much we are always use the same notation, but depending on the request method that we are using, we will do different things. So let's see how to write the code and achieve that. So let's say here, first thing, I want to create a new directory. I will say API, and inside that API I will create new PHP file. So maybe let's say handler, it can be any name, okay. And also what I want to do is I want to create one file in the root folder, and I will say .htaccess, which means that in this file I'm going to define all those URL rewrites. So first thing I will say rewrite engine, and I will say on, and then we are going to set some rules. So I'm going to say anytime when in the URL it starts with API customers, and then maybe we can say like this, which means that this character is optional because of those quote. So yeah, that's how we are going to do it. And then we are going to decide where we are going to redirect the data. So let's say what we are going to do is we will say it will be inside API folder, and file is handler.php. Okay, and let's say we'll define another one which is the same, but this time we are going also to say that they are able to send the ID here. So for this we are going to use regular expression. So this means here that this ID can include the numbers from the 0 to 9, and this plus sign means it can be more than 1. Okay, in that case we will say that we will send to the handler.php. Also we will include ID equal, and then ID will be basically this here, and it will be stored in the variable 1. Okay, so this part here will get to the variable 1. So let's see. For now I will just say here, let's say echo free, and then I want to say vardamp get, and let's see what we have. So now when we refresh, and let's say I will go here and say API customers, it shows that in the get we don't have anything, it's empty. And then when we say, for example, number 12, you can see now that on our handler.php we have, in the get method we have variable ID and value 12, and that's all that we need to know. So now let's create here inside the handler.php, let's detect different HTTP request methods. So I will say if server request method equal get. Okay, we can say like this. We are going to do something, and then we can have, like we said, 4 different. Okay, so I will say here if it's get, post, put, and delete. And now, as the name says here, get we use only when we want to get the data, post when we want to add a new data, put is when we want to update the data in the database, and delete is of course when we want to delete the data. Now for the first two, for the post and the put, we are able to send additional data, and that means that when we send additional data we will be able of course to use that data to do something, whether it's inserting to the database or it's updating in the database. Okay, so now how the thing is now how we are able to send different methods so that we are able to properly test. Well, we are going to use the tool that is called Postman, and it's here. And for those of you that don't know, you can go to the getpostman.com/downloads and then download the one at the top. Of course, here you will have the different option for different operating system. It's Linux for me, so that's why it's here. Okay, so now what I'm able to do here is I am able to grab this URL, and here I can set the type of the request method that I want to use, and then I'm able to execute. So now you can see here in the body there isn't anything, but what I'm able to do is I can say here echo get. So this is just so we can see that it actually works as we want. Put and then post. So let's see now. Send, it says get. When we send post, it's post. Delete, delete. Okay, cool. And that's it. Now let's first build the get method. So here at the top I want to create one variable. So I want to access our database. So my host is localhost, my username is root, password is m2, and database is REST API. So now please, a lot of the people make mistakes because they get confused by this here. So basically if I will copy this, and let's say I will just open text editor, you will be able to see how it looks like. So basically those tags that you hear, username, password, database name, doesn't actually exist in my code. So this is just my ID that is helping me to know which parameters I should send. So let's say here now, when someone send get request, let's say that we are able to have two different get requests. First one is get here, which means he wants all the customers, and if someone sends like API customer / some ID, that means he wants the details only about the customer with that ID. So what I'm able to do here, I can say here if is get, and let's say ID, we will do this, else we are going to do this. So maybe we'll just resize a little bit, and we can say here, okay, our ID is, we will say connection, and then of course real escape string, and then we will say get ID. Okay, and our SQL will be connection query, and I'm able to say now select, let's say, name and age from customers where ID equal our ID. Okay, and our data will be SQL fetch, and let's say associative array. Okay, and maybe for now I'll just say here exit, and then with API we almost always return the data in the JSON format. And for those of you that didn't watch or know how to do it, I have the video that you can find here, and you can watch it how to use the JSON and Ajax. So here I'll say JSON encode the data, and let's see now. So when I use the Postman, I will say get and sending for the 12. You can say it's null, but let's see which ID we have. It's number 3 and 4. So I will say here /3 send, boom, and now you can see that our server has returned that the customer with ID 3 is name is Sinead and age is 29. Now if there isn't the ID, that means that we will need to get for all customers. Sorry, so I will copy this here, and I'm going to delete this part. Okay, and then here I will say while, let's say d as data equal SQL fetch associative. We can say that maybe here we are going to have one array, and we will say here data equal d. Okay, and let's test now. So now when we remove this, you can see now that I have got an array of all customers in the database, and for each of those we have the details. So this one is Sinead, this one is Johnny. For each we have got the age, and that's it. So pretty much that's how easily we are able to implement get method. And of course here we are not using any authentication, and obviously this API will be used by some admins because they should be able only to access the customer's data. And if you want to learn about authentication with REST API, make sure that you comment down below that you want that tutorial, and if there is enough demand, I will of course create one for you. Okay, so now let's move to the next one. So let's say now that we want to talk about the post, and we want to be able to insert new person through our API inside the database. So what we want to do is, first, in case that there is a post, we want to make sure that someone is sending to us the data that we need, and let's say the only data that we require is name and age. So what I can say here is if isset post, let's say name, and isset post age. In that case we have enough data, else we can say exit, and we can return something like status, let's say failed, and then we can say maybe reason. Okay, check your inputs, something like that. Okay, and then here if we have everything we can say, so I'll just quickly copy from here, paste 2 times. Okay, so have name, and we are going to have age, and then all we need to do is we can say connection query, and we can say insert into customers, and then here we'll specify what, let's say name, age, and I think we have created on, no, it's added on. Okay, and the values will be name, age, and now, and you can see here. Okay, and that's it. And maybe in that case we will just return like this, so say status success. Okay, and let's see. So now in our Postman, if we say we want post, we are sending to the API customers, send, and it says failed, reason, check your inputs, and that's because we don't have the name and age in our data. So we are going to say to the body, we will send new data, and I'm going to say here name, let's say Chris, and age, let's say 25, whatever, send. Okay, now there is some error, let's see what, on line 19 and 20. Okay, so it's here, and it's because we are using here get, and it needs to be post, and let's see our database. Yeah, it didn't work, so let's try again. Send, it says status success, and now when we check our database, it is working. So now we also have fully functional the post method. So basically we are able to add new customers, and also we are making sure that we have all the data that we need in order to properly insert a person. Now the next thing is put method, and basically we use this one when we want to update some customer. So let's say now that we again will expect that someone send at least name or age, or maybe both. So now with the put method we can access the data by saying something like data equal, and then file get contents, and then we can say PHP input, and then I will just say here for now echo data. Let's see what will happen. So in the Postman, instead of the post, I will change to the put, hit send, and now you can see that our data is name equal Chris and age equal 25. Okay, now what we also want is that when we execute put method, we want that someone send us the ID. So how we are going to do this is inside the HD access we are able to define different rewrite rule if we want to, or we can just check here for get. So we can say if not is set, get, and let's see what we said, is it ID? Yep, get ID. Then in that case we can say again like this. So let's see, Postman send, and now you can see it says failed, check your inputs. But if we say something like this, let's say 1, now it works, now it went through. Okay, now one issue here is that, as you can see here, our all data is in this format. It's basically the string, and in order for us to convert it to the array, since there isn't something like global variable put in the PHP, we need somehow to create an array from all of these. So for that reason we are going to write our own function. So what we can do here is, I will maybe first say if, let's say I want to check, do we have at least one equal, which means we have at least one pair. So I can say here if in our data we have, so there needs to be at least one pair, else I want to tell that they need to check their data again. Okay, so in this case let's say echo all good, so it's just for now. So when I hit send, you can it says all good, but when I remove the data and hit send, you can it says please check your inputs. Now if I hit that I want to send only a name and hit send, it works again, and it will work with age as well. So let's now write the code that will transform this data to something meaningful, some array that we are able to use. So our data looks like this. It says name equal, let's say Snade, and age equal 29. Now first thing that I want to do is I want to create an array, and we are going to explode it by this. So I will say our data is equal, explode the data by Q, and it's from the data. So let's see what we will get. It's always important to know. So when I hit send again, you can see now that I have basically two arrays, and inside I have array with two elements, and first one is name equal Chris, and the second one is age equal 25. Now what I want to do is I would love to go through entire array, and each of those again split by equal and create the pair. So what I am able to do, so let's say we will create new variable here. Let's say all pairs, it's an array, and now I will say for each data as, let's say, pair. I can say that pair is equal explode equal, okay, and then I will in our all pairs store that key is pair 0, which means it's our key. So when we split by equal, this will be index 0, this will be 1. So this is key and this is value. So our key will be at 0 and value at 1. So I will say equal pair 1. Okay. And now I can say var dump all pairs, and let's see what we have. So when I hit send, you can see now that again I have one array but this time it's associative array, and I can directly access the name and the age. Cool. Now the next thing is I want to detect what data I have got, and based on that I'm going to know which data in the database we are going to update. So I will say if is set all pairs name and is set all pairs age. That means that someone in this request wants to update name and age at the same time. And then we can say else if is set all pairs name. That means that someone wants to update only the name. Else if is set all pairs age. Someone wants to update only the age. And then else if some other data has been sent and it's not name and age and we support only those two, then in that case we will just say again, please check your inputs. Okay, now for the name and age, now all we need to do is we can say SQL query, not SQL, sorry, connection query, and then we will say update customers set age equal and name equal. Okay, and then here we will need to insert, so I will say here all pairs age, then I will just copy this. Okay, name, and then we will say where ID equal our ID that we have got here, but we didn't store it anywhere, so we can say customer ID is equal connection real escape string get ID, and then now we are going to use it down below. So I will say here where ID equal customer ID. Okay, and that's it. Now let's maybe just use this one. So we'll say we'll exit status success when it's success. Cool. Let's see. Now I want, let's say for the customer with ID 3, change the name. So I will say in the Postman, I will remove age. I will say it will be Sinead B and customer ID is 1. And yeah, we need to change also the age, but let's say 29 will be the same. Send, it says success. Let's check our database. Nothing happened, so let's see why. So the problem is this is ID 1, needs to be 3. It says that's a success again. Okay, and it updated, but it's not correct. Let's see why. Okay, this should be fine. So all pairs age, and no, the issue is here, should be comma. Okay, send, browse, and now it is looking good, but as you can see now it is using the wildcards, so we should do URL decode for every parameter, but that's not that much important right now. Okay, so if you don't understand what I mean, basically here, if we will do URL decode, that should work. Yeah, and that's it. Okay. Okay, now this is for updating the name and email, name and age at the same time. Now for only name, we can just slightly modify this by removing the age. Okay, and for the age we can modify by removing the name, right? And that's it, and this is going to work properly. Now the next thing and the last one that we need to do is we need to write the request method for delete, and basically this one is very simple. So basically we need to check for the ID. If we don't have one, we will say please check your inputs. If we do have one, all we need to do is we will just say connection query delete from customers where ID equal, and let's say customer ID, which I don't have at the moment, but I will grab it from here. Okay, and maybe what could be even better is that we write, yeah, but we can't know each time, so maybe it's better if we leave as is. So I'll do like this. Okay, and then we will just return success. Okay, so let's make a test. So I'm going now to say that I don't have any data because we are going to use delete. So I'll say delete, and now I will remove the ID, hit send, it says please check your inputs. Now when I add the customer ID, send, it says success, and when we check our database we can see now that Sinead doesn't exist anymore. So guys, pretty much that's it. I hope so that you have enjoyed this video and you have found it very useful. I have tried my best to explain all the different methods and how to create very simple REST API for your website. If you have any questions or anything, please ask in the comments below, and of course please like it and share it to your friends. Take care.